Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Sunday. It is the 16th of July, 2023. Gonna look at all the races here on the fourth day of the meeting. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And I mean it, around the world. It's a great card today from here from the spa. Hopefully the rain stays away and these turf races don't get destroyed with all these scratches. But it looks like you can make some money with some of these races. So we have 10 races on tap. Let's get to the opener. The first race from Saratoga, which is a claiming event going for a purse $60,000 race for 3-year-olds here, which are non-wars of 2 races in 2023. Claim price $25,000. 6 horses are going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. Gonna take the 3-horse Speaking of the Devil as a top selection. Let's go 3-6-1-2 in the superfecta. 3-6-1-2 super, top selection of 3-horse Speaking of the Devil. This 3-year-old gelding by Daredeviler here. Steve Asmussen trains. Iratus Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 20th of June at Indiana. 5 furlongs in a launch race, 38,000. And the horse finished third by 2 lengths that day. And he was with them early on. He had the lead. He got overtaken late. They were flying that day. Coming here, this track has been playing a little bit more towards front runners so far in the short offering during the meet. Coming from the inside, a little bit forwardly paced, I think he could get a good trip and win. He's also going out to a very low class to a 25,000 claimer from allowance races. Prior to that, in the main special to Indiana, 6 furlongs on the 29th of May, he won by 11 3/4 lengths that day, and he just won, for fun. It even says that in the comment line, won for fun handily. Basically easy fractions. He quickened up in lot, 86 buyer. That was a very easy run for him that day. And then main 100 at Churchill, 6 furlongs, 13th of May. He finished 5th by 4 lengths that day, and he just had a little bit of a tough trip down the backstretch, by the gap going out of the chute. He just wasn't really comfortable that day, which cost him. And then at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs on a good main track in the main special weight. He finished 2nd by 1/4 lengths that day. He showed some speed, but he just couldn't keep up with his horses. He's down the class ladder. He's training well. He should get a good trip and win. I know he's 3-5, but he's a very likely winner. The 6-horse Guruvan for Mike Maker and Manny Franco. Wouldn't surprise me if this horse gets a good trip. Most recently, in claiming 75,000 at Ellis going a mile on the 11th of June, he finished 6th by 51 1/4 lengths that day, and he absolutely had nothing. Very warm day. Give him a break there. He's also going down to a claim 25. Prior to then, claiming 80 at Oakland over the mile. He finished 3rd by 4.5 lengths that day. He didn't have the best trips that day around the far turn. He just, I just don't think he wants to go a rounding trip. I think he wants to go sprinting. Last time he sprinted came on the 23rd of November at Churchill, going 7 furlongs in the main special weight, and he won by 2 1/4 lengths, and he stalked a quick pace. He quickened up nicely off of that. A 68 bar wasn't bad at all. Prior to that, he ran a 1-turn mile rate, a very good place at Churchill, and then in Keeneland in the fall, going 7 in main special weight. He had a decent 4th that day. He should, in a small compact field, he should just sit off the leading pair. I'll throw out that last run. I'm going to give him a shot. He is training since that last one quite nicely, so let's just, like I said, give him a break in that one. But to recount my selection for the opener from the spa, I'm going to take the 3-horse Speaking of the Devil, give kudos to 6-horse Guruvan, 3-6-1-2 super, 3-6 in the multi-race, to the second event. The second race from Saratoga, it's a claiming event going for a $45,000 purse race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. Never won 2 races here. Claim price $25,000. Field of 8 horses going to the Wilson Chute, the distance of ground of 1,600 miles, or the Wilson Mile here at Saratoga. And a lot of people were complaining about the mile races they had on Friday here at Saratoga because it was speed favoring. The track was speed favoring from the rail on Friday, so they're just not giving the chute a chance. I think you want good position, but last meeting, I don't think it was there was such a bias with these 1-mile races. We'll see as the week goes on. I believe on Wednesday there's 4 or 5 mile races here at Saratoga, so just give the chute a little bit more time. I'm going to take a horse from the 7 of 8 hole here, the 7-horse Yogi. I'm going to go 7-5-3-2 in the superfecta. 7-5-3-2 super, top selection of 7-horse Yogi. This 4-year-old filly by Mineshaft here. James Bond trains one. Jamie Torres gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 19th of May at Belmont. 1 mile claiming 25,000, and he finished 2nd by a length that day. He was a little bit wide dueling that day on the front end. He had lead for a split portion. The winner, Marisol, just had the jump on this horse and won, and was a next start winner. But this horse, he ran his heart out. Coming here up north, the Bond horses, they're based up here most of the year. They really like running over this track. I'm going to give this horse a shot to win, but he's going to have to get good position out of the gate. Two back on the 12th of March at Aqueduct, 1 mile claiming 40,000. He finished 5th by 11 1/4 lengths that day. He was very wide throughout, and he just never really got going. But keep in mind, second, third, and this and quite a few others out of that race were next start winners. Maybe he needed the race. It was his first start since the 29th of December. That came at Aqueduct, 7 furlongs and maiden 40,000. He won by 1 3/4 lengths that day. He was stupidly wide, but he was gaining that day. That was a very strong performance there. And then at Aqueduct off the bench, 1 mile in the main special weight. He finished 6th by 17 3/4 lengths that day. Very wide, just not really excelling that day. He started twice here at Saratoga last summer. His debut in maiden 40, he just never really got going from inside trip. And then after that in late August, over the 7 maiden 40, he finished 2nd by 1 1/4 lengths that day. And he stalked that day. He just missed late, but he was closing up well. His outran is 30 to 1 odds. He's training well. I'm going to give him a shot here at 3 to 1 on the ticket. I think your second likeliest winner of this race is the 5-horse Alex Cramden for Pat Quick and Dylan Davis, 3 followed by Accelerate. Most recently, they ran the horse on the 16th of June at Belmont on the mud, 6 furlongs in a start allowance race, 50,000. And the horse finished 8th by 13 lengths that day. And I just don't know if this horse liked the track that day. From the inside, she never really was comfortable, never showed that forwardly pace. It wasn't her day to win. Prior to the main 30 at Belmont, 6 furlongs, 12th of May, she won by 7.5 lengths that day. And as the 5-2 lukewarm second choice, she stalked, she got the lead, and she took off clear. That was a very exciting run. Keep in mind, she got claimed from the Abreu barn to the Quick barn after that. But since the last run, she's had some quick workouts. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. It was a very weird track on the inside where the water drains to at Belmont that she didn't like. Coming here to a mile trip where she could suck or sit a little closer, I'm going to give her a shot here at 4 to 1 on the ticket. And also, the 3-horse Jolly Miss Jill for Linda Rice and Jose Ortiz. Last time out in the mud on the 16th of June, this horse just wasn't going anywhere. Just kind of stalked and never really got into it. Prior to that, placed on the slop closing weekend at Aqueduct in a claiming 30 where this horse had the lead. He got caught late, but he ran as hard out that day. If this horse could slow it down in the front end, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets the mile trip. It might be stretching it, but like I said, if they could do some pedestrian fractions, he could definitely win. At 5-2, I'll use him, but I do prefer the other two before him. But to recount my selection for the second from Saratoga, going to take the 7-horse Yogi, give kudos to the 5-horse Alex Cramden, and the 3-horse Jolly Miss Jill. 7-5-3-2 Super, 7-5-3 in your multi-race. To the third event now from the Spa. Race number 3, it's on the green stuff. It's allowance optional claimer purse, $156,000. Races for Phillies Mayors, 3-year-olds and upwards. Never won $18,000 twice in the main claim starter or staper allowance race, or which never won 3 races. Optional claim price $62,000. Field of 10 horses entered, and 8 through 10 are MTOs, and that looks like a good race if it's going to be off the dirt with those MTOs. But if it's on the turf, 7 horses are going to go 1,700 meters or a mile and 1/16 on the inner turf course. My top selection, I'm going to take the 2-horse Pleasant Passage. 2-4-1-6 for me in the superfecta. 2-4-1-6 super. Top selection 2-horse Pleasant Passage. This 3-year-old filly by More Than Ready. Shug McGahee trains this one. John Velasquez gets the mount. Blinkers on for the first time. Most recently, the horse ran off the bench on the 18th of June at Belmont. 1 mile and an optional 6-2 claimer. And the horse finished 3rd by 2 1/4 lengths that day and didn't get out of the gate so clearly. Just kind of stalked and was just a little bit lackadaisical late. It looked like he wasn't concentrating on the run. Getting blinkers on, could sit a little closer on this turf course, which isn't half bad. I think this horse could get the trip to win and run a good race. Before that race, they were trying this horse against tougher competition. Ran prior to then the Appalachian at Keeneland on a good turf course, 1 mile on the 8th of April, and the horse finished 5th by 1 1/4 lengths that day, or 4 1/4 lengths that day. It was just very wide, had a tough trip in the lane, never was really comfortable that day as a 2.5 to 1 favorite. It just wasn't her day to win. And then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf at Keeneland, 1 mile at North for the 4th of November. She finished 2nd by 2.5 lengths that day. She sat back early, she stalked, she really closed up well late. She just missed the winner. But she ran her heart out. She was second best of the Americans that day. And then the Miss Grillo at Aqueduct on a very boggy, yielding inner turf course. She won by 3/4 in length. When you go 114, almost 115 flats, 3/4, you're going to win off those fractions. And this horse did just that. A very nice run. She ran on her debut here, going a mile 16th last August in a main special weight, winning by a neck, closing up from nowhere. I thought it was a good race. But keep in mind, last year's inner turf course was playing towards closers. This year, it's back to normal, it seems, with the short offering we have, where the speeds really, or front end horses, are really doing better. At 3 to 1, I think this horse with some clash relief should get a good trip. Probably is going to win. I think a horse for the pick 4 would be the 4-horse Bo Shachi for Chad Brown and Ira Ortiz Jr. Most recently, the horse ran the 24th of excuse me, 26th of May at Belmont on the inner. Mile 16th allowance race 92,000, and this horse had the perfect trip from the inner turf course if you have a wide posture. From the outside gate, he left going out there. He was a little bit wide, but he held on to the victory from a tracking trip at 20 cents to the dollar. This horse took off nicely, came home with an 86 buyer. As proven in France, can run on a turf course to have a slight give in it, just in case there is some overnight showers into the morning where this course has some give in it. But most likely this horse wants firmer ground. But the races in Europe, if you look over them, she was facing some tough horses. She ran the Group 3 Pre-Psyche at Deauville last August, and if you, for you Americans that don't know what Deauville in August is, basically Deauville is the Saratoga of Europe. That's where all the best horses from France go meet up, and it's basically like a 3-week meeting. Every Sunday there's a Group 1, and it's always exciting races. This horse in the Pre-Psyche with the mile and a quarter at Deauville, the horse, like I said, finished 4th by 1/4 lengths that day. She stuck, she had the lead, she got caught in the final furlong or so. I don't know if she wanted the mile and a quarter that day. And prior to that, Shantine, the Prix de Diane, the French Oak, she finished 9th by 8 1/4 lengths that day, and she never really got going that day. Got beat by better horses. And then the Prix de Epinete at Longchamp, she finished 5th by 3 lengths again. She was with them early on, but then kind of hit the wall late. I do think back to a mile 16th, she has some pace if she wants to use it. It wouldn't surprise me if this horse deals it on the front end. I would use her on the ticket. And a bit of a wise guy horse, the one horse Miss Carol Ann for Grand Motion and Manny Franco, or excuse me, Joel Rosario. The Grand Motion horses that have been coming in from Fair Hills to run here in New York have been running very nicely since the Belmont meeting in these turf races. And I think this horse has a strong chance. Going 7 furlongs on the 18th of May at Belmont, the horse finished 2nd by 2 1/4 lengths that day. Was a little bit wide, but was gaining that day late. The winner was a next start winner, keep in mind. And prior to that, first start stateside in the Pebbles, the horse finished 6th by 2 1/4 lengths at Aqueduct last fall. This horse just never really was comfortable that day at Aqueduct. But refreshing here, can handle a course with some give in it. But again, probably doesn't like it. We'll probably like to see a lightning fast course, but she could also win off some of her races at 5-1. If you have that extra payroll in the pick 4, I would use her there. But to recount my selection for the 3rd from Saratoga, very nice race. Gonna take the 2 horse Pleasant Passage. Give kudos to the 4 horse Beau Shachi and the 1 horse Miss Carol Ann. 2-4-1-6 Super, 2-4-1 in your multi race. Let's get to the 4th event from the Spa. The 4th event, it's a claiming event, going for a $32,000 purse, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Never won 3 races here, going for a claim price $14,000. We have a field of 8 horses going the distance of ground at 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. I love the 2 horse Central Pride in this one. I'm going to go 2-6-4-1 in the superfecta, 2-6-4-1 super. Top selection of 2 horse Central Pride. This 4-year-old gelding by Lord Nelson. Randy Prasad trains. Javier Castellano gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 3 weeks ago on the 25th of June at Belmont. 7 furlongs and claiming 16,000. And the horse won by 1 1/4 lengths that day. He didn't have the clearest of beginnings that day, but he slowly moved his way to the front end. He almost got overtaken the top of lane, but he really caught up late. He quickened up a lot. He got the job done. Good gritty performance. He is stepping down to a claiming 14, which I quite like in this spot. It's not the world's toughest race, and I think with strong pace in front, he could really get a trip to win. 2 back in the claiming 16 at Belmont, 6 furlongs on the 4th of June. He finished 2nd by 2 3/4 lengths that day. He was just a little bit wide. He's closing up a little bit late, but he still needs something more. It definitely was an improvement off the race before, which was claiming 40 at Belmont over the 6th on the 5th of May. He finished 7th by 13 3/4 lengths that day and just had nothing. Before that, they were just running him tough competition. They ran him in the lounge race where he didn't show up, and a very tough claiming 25 on the mud. He just never really showed up. If you look over his wet course races, they're okay. They're not great. But coming here, he has some speed if they want to use it, but I think with a little bit slightly speedier horses, he could just sit off of them and have that wide trip to win. I like them to see him tip out late. He's training well since the last race. I'll give him a shot here on the ticket. I think the 6 horse Eisen Parker for Dylan Davis and Natalie Lynch is your second likeliest winner. Most recently claiming 14 at Belmont going 6th. The horse finished 2nd by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and he got caught in the lane, but he ran his heart out that day. Prior to that, claiming 6,500 at Monmouth over the 3/4 off the bench. He finished 3rd by 6 1/4 lengths that day. He moved a little bit late from the back of the pack. He still needs something more, but he probably need the race off the bench. And then claiming 260-50 at Gulfstream, 7 furlongs in mid-March. He finished 6th by 12 lengths. He showed pace early on, but then he just kind of hit the wall. Down the class ladder, he has some speed if he wants to use it. I'll use him on the pick 4 ticket, and also give a shot to the 4 horse Charger. A horse definitely down the class ladder, has proven that, he wants to step down in class because in a very tough claiming 20 at Monmouth a few weeks ago, he did not run at all. He finished 6 by 12 and a quarter lengths, not showing up. Prior to that, in a tough start allowance race, he didn't break, which cost him. And then had a decent place at Aqueduct in mid-April, going 6.5. Coming back to Saratoga, where this horse has run decently in the past without some victors, and here locally, I'm going to give him a shot here. He hasn't won since early 2022. He's due for a victory. He gets Luis Saez up, which is a major jockey booking from some of the other riders that have been riding this horse recently. I'll give this horse a shot, but I do prefer the other two before him. But to recount my selection for the fourth from the spot, I'm going to take the 2-horse Central Pride, give kudos to the 6-horse Eisen Parker and the 4-horse Charger, 2641 Super, 264 in your multi-race. Let's get to the first 2-year-old race of the day, the 5th race from the Spa. The 5th race from the Spa, it's a maiden special weight purse, $88,000, race for maidens 2-year-olds here, state breds. We have a field of 9 horses going to the main track, 1,100 meters the trip, or 5.5 furlongs on the Saratoga dirt course. I love the 6-horse collected special as a top selection. Let's go 6182 in the superfecta. 6182 super, top selection, the 6-horse collected. Collected special is Tiro Colt, or by collected. Jorge Delgado trains. Harley Gaffleone gets on this first-time starter. This horse has been training quite well at Monmouth, most recently the 8th of July, which was last Saturday. 3/8 of a mile drill, 35 and 3, the second best workout, 45. And prior to that, from the gate at Monmouth, a half mile and 50 flat, the 59th best workout, 36 and a half, and 3/8 and 36 flat, the second best workout, 33. I think with the city zip on the sire side, this horse has some speed into him. Jorge Delgado has decent numbers, with first-time starters striking at 22%, and with 2-year-olds 24%. Coming here today with some speed. Speed's been really well on this track the last few days. I'm going to give this horse a massive chance on the ticket. The 1-horse Antonio of Venice for Rudy Rod and Luis Saez wouldn't surprise me if this horse gets the job done, getting blinkers on today. Most recently from a wide trip at Belmont, going 5 furlongs on the 23rd of June. The horse finished 3rd by 4.5 lengths that day. He didn't get out of the gate so clearly. He was moving a little bit late, but he still needs something more. Prior to that, on the debut on the 12th of May at Belmont in the state bred main special weight, he finished 2nd by a length that day. He was with them early on, but then he just, he looked lackadaisical. It looked like he needed blinkers, and with the next start, or with that start, he just never was really comfortable. He is training well. I'm going to give this horse a shot on the ticket here at 8-5, but these horses, they don't show up as good as the Rudy Rod horses don't really show up as much as the, if you look at the statistics for the, considered to the Jorge Delgado horses, who really show up as 2-year-olds. He's a lot better 2-year-old trainer, but this horse can win third asking. Even the part of an entry, or the other part of the entry, Caldula, he could definitely show up. He last time out going 5 furlongs, he lost all chance at the beginning, where he's behind the A-ball, but the debut where he placed in that main special weight at Belmont, that race could win here. He's also training a little bit better than the stablemate, but I think Antonio Venice is your likeliest winner, your second likeliest winner of the entry, or the first likeliest winner of the entry, your second likeliest winner of the race. Getting a little tongue-tied here, but I love collected special. I think this horse looks like he could really put on show in the front end, has some speed, and the Delgado numbers with the for this race look really nice. But to recount my selection for the 5th from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 6-horse collected special. Give kudos to the 1-horse Antonio of Venice, 6182 Super, 6-1 to end off the pick 5. Let's get to the 6th event from the Spa. The 6th event from Exit 14 on the Northway, it's a maiden claiming event, going for a $60,000 purse. Races for maidens 3-year-olds and upwards here, going for a claim price $75,000. Field of 13 horses, including a part of an entry at drawn into the race. 12 and 1A are MTO, so 11 will go the distance of ground here of 1,600 meters or a mile on the inner turf course. I'm going to take the 6-horse Ringside as a top selection. 6-1-11-2 in the superfecta for me. 6-1-11-2 super. Top selection 6-horse Ringside. This 3-year-old colt by Curlin here. Jack Sisterson trains. Jose Ortiz gets the mounts. The horse's most recent outing came on dirt at Tampa. Previous trained by Tom Pletcher, a mile 40 in the main special weight, 29,000, and the horse finished 3rd by 3 lengths that day. He was with him on the front end early on. He got caught late. he ran his heart out that day. Keep in mind, 1 and 2 out of that race, and another one, we're all next start winners. So the format of that race wasn't bad at all. That was on Tampa Derby Day. But this horse, he just couldn't keep up late. But he ran his heart out on that very deep track. Coming here to turf for the first time. He's been training on it here locally on the Oklahoma training turf, and the workouts have been getting better. I'm going to give him a shot to win. These inner turf course races, other than last year at Saratoga, tend to be more towards speed, quality horses, or horses that could sit closer. So far this year in the short offering we've had, the speed horses have been, doing well in this inner turf course, except Consecrate, who closed up just from nowhere to win the Kelso on Saturday afternoon. That was a great performance for that old man. But this horse, normally he could, the speed really holds up. On debut, the horse ran the 21st of January at Tampa, mile 40 in the main special weight. He finished third by 1/4 lengths that day, and he was setting some fast fractions for that race course. He got caught late after having the lead. He ran his heart out, but he just couldn't keep up. Keep in mind, second place finisher was a next star winner. Coming here to turf, I'm going to give this horse a shot on the ticket. Jack Sisterson first time turf is 20%, so it's not bad with this one and the short offering he's had. But 6-1 lets you use them. If this race gets taken off the turf also, I would use this horse on the dirt event. I also think the one horse Rockstar Red for Linda Rice and Flavian Pratt could get the job done. Great ride yesterday by Flavian in the Diana, upsetting to an Italian. But back to Rockstar Red. Most recently in the main 40 at Belmont, going a mile 16th on the inner earlier this month. The horse finished second by a head. The horse had the lead, but then got caught late. But if the horse would have broke out of the gate a little clearer, probably would have won. But he ran his heart out that day after all said and done. Quick turnaround to the new stable with Linda Rice, previously trained by Belmont. If there's a horse that could close up from nowhere, it wouldn't surprise me if this horse could get the job done. If you look at some of the horses this horse has been facing in South Florida and here in New York in the spring, this horse has been facing some tough competition. Not nearly as tough today down the class. I'll give this horse a shot on the ticket in the late pick 5 here, and also giving a shot to the 11 horse. He's got swagger for Kenneth McPeak and Julian Leperoux. Most recently at Pimlico Preakness weekend, going a mile 16th, the horse finished 6 by 5 lengths that day and was just stupidly wide in the parking lot. You can't win off at Pimlico that wide on the turf course. Prior to that Derby weekend at Churchill, going mile 16th on the lawn, he finished second by half a length that day. He stalked most of the race. I thought he needed a little bit more ground, but he ran his heart out that day, coming home with a career best 75 buyer. And then Keeneland going a mile 8th in the main special weight. He finished 6 by 6 1/4 lengths that day, and he just was a little bit flat that day. Another horse he's training well, way down the class ladder, 4-1. As an upsetter, I would use him. Shall I say small upset of 4-1? Don't know why I said that. But to recount my selection for the 6 from Saratoga, gonna take the 6 horse ringside. Give kudos to the 1 horse Rockstar Red and the 11 horse He's Got Swagger. 6-1, 11-2 Super. 6-1, 11 in the multi-race. The pick 4 begins with race 7. The 7th race from Saratoga. It's an allowance race. Purse $149,500. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. Number 1, $18,000 of the main claiming starter or state bred allowance race, which number 1, 2 races here. We have a field of 7 horses entered to go the distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or it's going to be 1,900 meters, or the Preakness trip of ground of 1 3/16 on the Saratoga main track. 1,900 meters, 1 3/16. A distance they don't run very often. It's going to be the first time since the first race of the 2019 season here at Saratoga that they're running 1 3/16 on the main track. And something I've noticed here at NYRA this year, they've been carting a little bit more, especially over the winter at Aqueduct, of these 1 3/16 mile and a quarter races for these dirt horses. And I love it. I think it's a good division that there's not a lot of here on the East Coast. There's quite a few mile and a quarter races on the dirt at Churchill and in Kentucky, but just not here locally. But hopefully that changes as the years go on. Because I love these races. They're just fun races to handicap here, and they're a little bit, they test the minds. I love the 3 horse, the Princess Spur, as a top selection. 3-1-5-6 in the superfecta for me here. 3-1-5-6 super, top selection 3 horse, the Princess Spur. This 4-year-old gelding by Cairo Prince. Philip Bauer trains. John Velazquez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 10th of June at Ellis, 1 8 in a an allowance race for $127,000, and the horse finished third by 3 lengths that day. And he just kind of stalked, and he couldn't catch the winner. At Ellis Park, you need to be, especially in June, you need to be on the front end winning. This, nobody was closing on that track. Horses tried; they were losing, greatly, but this horse, he just was against the track. Coming here, it's at the same trip here. and slowly move his way into it. The extra half furlong suits him well. I think he can get the job done and win today. Prior to that, at Churchill on the 11th of May, a mile 3/16 last race, 127,000. He finished third by 4.5 lengths that day, and he just stalked and was flat that day. I do think he needed the race. It was his first effort since the 22nd of October at Keeneland, a mile and eighth allowance race. He finished second by a length that day, and he was really gaining late. He just missed, but he ran his heart out there. And then on the 1st of October at Churchill, a mile and eighth allowance race, he finished sixth by 10.25 lengths that day, and he really just had nothing that day. But compared to the race before, he ran terrifically. Under the care of Tom Pletcher at Saratoga, 1 mile the Wilson Chute in a maiden 75,000, win by 6.25 lengths from a wide post draw. He basically won for fun. That was a very exciting run there. They tried him on the turf before that, where he had a decent fourth, and then a decent third on the mud at Belmont last June. Coming to a longer trip, this horse could definitely win. I'm going to use him in the late pick 4 that begins with this race. The one horse proved worthy for Tom Pletcher and Ira Ortiz Jr. could definitely win. One going a mile and a quarter, two back on Derby week at Churchill in a main special weight, winning by 4.25 lengths coming from mid-pack. He circled the field late and kept going. A very good run with an 89 buyer. Prior to that run at Ellis on the 10th of June that the Prince of Spurs coming out of, and quite a few other horses are running out of. And this horse finished sixth by 3.5 lengths that day, and he was just very wide throughout. And just, he was closing up on a track that wasn't to his liking. I think that cost him there. And then a mile 40 in the Tampa main special weight, he finished second by 2 3/4 lengths. That's the same race that Ringside's coming out of earlier today, where he finished third. This horse finished in front of Ringside that day, where he was just closing up a little bit too late, but he ran his heart out. Another horse, I think he's bred for the mile 3/16 or even mile and a quarter in the future through and through. He could definitely win here on paper. So let's go too deep to start off this slate pick 4. So to recount my selection for the 7 from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 3 horse, the Princess Spur. Give kudos to the 1 horse, Prove Worthy. 3-1-5-6 Super. 3-1 in your multi-race to the 8th event from the Spa. The 8th race from Saratoga, it's allowance optional claimer purse $162,500, races for 3-year-olds and upwards, never won 18,000 3 times on the main claim starter or stable allowance racer, which never won 4 races. Optional claim price of $80,000 here. We have a field of 6 horses going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the main track. I'm going to take the 5 horse Sheriff Bianco as a top selection. Let's go 5-1-3-2 in the superfecta. 5-1-3-2 super, top selection of 5 horse Sheriff Bianco. This 5-year-old gelding by Spicer here. Linda Rice trains this one. Jose Ortiz gets the mount. The Linda Rice and Jose Ortiz, combination. I've been doing quite well in the first 3 offerings here at Saratoga so far. But most recently, I backed Sheriff Bianco in the John Nehru at Belmont, 7 furlongs on the 1st of July. He finished 4th by 5.25 lengths that day, and he moved a little bit late, but he just couldn't keep up with the slightly classier horses. Back down to an allowance race where he can really run a good race. I think this horse could get the job done and win today. I think he's going to see a strong pace, and from a wide post draw, he could close up into it really nicely. Prior to then, the commentator at Belmont, a mile 16, 29th of May, he finished third by length that day, and he just sat back early. He was a little bit wide late, but he was gaining that day. But Bankit really put on a show. And then closing weekend at Aqueduct, actually the final race of the Aqueduct meeting, because the race after that was canceled. 6 furlongs in the affirmed success. He finished second by 2 3/4 lengths. He was closing up a little bit that day, but starting from the rail where all the water was, I think cost him there. And then his most recent victory in off 6-2 at Aqueduct a week prior over the 6, winning by half a length from a track and trip. He really put on a show. I think if he sees a strong pace in this one, he could really run a good race. He always runs these solid efforts. I'm going to give this horse a shot on the ticket at 7-2. I think your second likeliest winner here is the number 1 horse, Mr. Phil from Manny Franco and Rabbit Trass. This horse, most recently, the 22nd of June at Belmont, going 3 quarters and optional 80. He finished 4th by 5 lengths that day, and he was just wide and just never really getting into it. Gunnet, who won, is a decent horse. He actually won prior to that, or ran prior to that in the one of the big races. I can't remember, but he got beat by a classier horse that day. Prior to the run happy over the 3 quarters at Belmont in May, he finished 6th by 4.25 lengths. Again, he just never really showed up that day. But he won in April, going 3 quarters at Aqueduct quite nicely off the bench, winning by a neck on the front end all throughout with an 87 buyer. He really freaked that day. He ran here at Saratoga last season, the Tail of the Cat, where he finished third by 9.5 lengths, never really getting a good trip and kind of hitting the wall late. They tried him in the True North, where he really couldn't keep up with those better horses. And then last winter, he was a great horse at Aqueduct. Won Optional 62 with a 91 buyer, came back to win an Optional 80 by a half length with a 92 buyer, and won an Optional 80 at Belmont in the last May. going 7 by 1/4 lengths with a career best 101 buyer. So he has some hidden form that could definitely win against these horses. I'll use him here. And I think probably your most overbet horse on the card will be the 3-horse Baby Yoda. We all remember him freaking with a 114 buyer 2 seasons ago. But, he's very inconsistent. He does like this track, though. He's 4 for 3 on it. He won here quite nicely last season, off 6-2 with a 98 buyer. Ran an okay fourth in the Forgo. Came back to win at Aqueduct, going 1 mile quite nicely with a 99 buyer, and then sucked in the Kelso. Sucked in the Knicks Go, but coming back to his home base, the track he likes running at, he could definitely win. But 6-5, he's gonna get very overbet today. Like I said, he's probably gonna be your most overbet horse on the card. I'm gonna try and pick a price with the other two, and it wouldn't surprise me if he gets into a speed deal where it could suit up for a horse like Sheriff Bianco, who needs that little bit of a pace meltdown to win. But he doesn't need it, but it would help him a lot. But to recap my selection for the 8th from Saratoga, gonna take the 5-horse Sheriff Bianco. Give kudos to the 1-horse Mr. Phil and the 3-horse Baby Yoda. 5-1-3-2 Super. 5-1-3 in your multi-race. To the 9th. The 9th race from Saratoga, it is the Quick Call Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $175,000 purse, race for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 12 horses entered. Keep in mind 11 and 12 are MTOs, so 10 will go to the Mellon Turf Course, the distance of ground of 1,100 meters or 5.5 furlongs on that Mellon Turf Course. My top selection, I love the 10-horse Gaslight Dancer. I'm going to go 10-4-5-3 in the superfecta. 10-4-5-3 Super. Top selection, 10-horse Gaslight Dancer. 3-year-old colt by City of Light. Mike Maker trains. Tyler Gaffleone gets the mount. Horse's most recent outing came 13th of May at Churchill, 5.5 on a firm turf course in the William Walker. The horse finished 3rd by 1.5 lengths that day, and he just had a little bit of a tough trip that day on the inside. He moved somewhat late, but as 7 cents of the dollar lukewarm favorite, he just wasn't comfortable on that turf course. Coming here from a wide trip on this turf course, I think he get a good trip from the outside, and I think he could win today. Prior to that in the Palisades, I thought he ran terrifically at Keelan over the 5.5 16th of April, winning by 1.5 lengths that day. He stalked from a little bit of a wide trip. He circled up late. He quickened up nicely with a trip with some distance relief. He really put on a show that day. Very good run from that day. And then a Keelan on the 4th of November in the Bruce Cup Juvenile Turf, breaking 14 of 14. He somewhat left to get good position, but he finished 6 by 3.25 lengths that day. He just wasn't getting the mile trip at that point. I do think he wants to go sprinting. Prior to the futurity at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs on the 9th of October. He finished 2nd by a neck behind Nagarrock that day, who was a decent horse, and this horse, placed behind him that day, but just, he needed something more that day. And then Kentucky down 7 furlongs in the main special weight. First start on turf, winning by 5 lengths from a stupidly wide post draw. He put on a show. He's versatile. He can set the pace or come from behind. I think from a wide trip, he could get a good trip. At 7-2, I'm going to use him. I think your second likeliest winner here is the 4-horse, Dr. Ostran for Christophe Clement and Flavien Prat. Most recently at Gulfstream in the Roar over the 5 furlongs on the turf course. He finished 3rd by 1.25 lengths that day. He didn't break well, which is hard to overcome ground at Gulfstream on the turf course. You need to have speed going 5 on the lawn. This horse, after not breaking well, he was wide throughout. He was on the inside, then got out wide, and then he moved a little bit late. But after all said and done, it was an okay race. But he has to break. Prior to that, in the Texas Glitter at Gulfstream over the 5, he finished 3rd by 2 lengths that day, and he was dueling on the front end. He got caught late, but he didn't go down without a fight there. And then at Gulfstream, 5 furlongs in the optional 75, winning by 2 on the front end all throughout with an 84 buyer. It was a very good run. He's definitely going to improve. He definitely has some speed here. I'll give him a shot here at 8-1 on the ticket, and also give a shot to the 5-horse here also. 2 of a kind for Brian Lynch and Julian Leperoux. Most recently, the horse appeared in the William Walker at Churchill, where he finished 2nd by 1.25 lengths, disputing the lead all throughout. He got caught late, but he ran his heart out that day. Prior to the Palisades, he didn't get out of the gate okay. He got out of the gate lackadaisical that day. He moved late, but it was just a little bit too late in his first start on turf. And then in the Hutchinson on the dirt, he showed pace early on, but then just kind of hit the wall. I do just think his turf numbers are a little bit better than his dirt numbers, even in the short offering. He has some speed here. At 8-1, I'm going to give him a shot on the ticket also in this late pick 4 to possibly blow it up. But to recount my selections for the 9th from Saratoga, it's the feature of the afternoon. It is the quick call. Going to take the number 10-horse Gaslight Dancer. Give kudos to the 4-horse Dr. Osran and the 5-horse 2 of a kind. 10-4-5-3 Super. 10-4-5 in your pick 4. Let's get to the 10th event, the nightcap from Saratoga here on week 1. The 10th race from Saratoga, it's a maiden claiming event going for a $43,000 purse race for maidens, fillies, mayors, 3-year-olds and upwards, state breds here. going for a claim price of $30,000. 10 horses are going 1,300 meters or 6.5 furlongs on the main track. I'm going to take the 4s. Maggie's top selection. 410-8-1 Super for me. 410-8-1 Super. Top selection of 4-horse Maggie. This 3-year-old filly by Central Banker here. John Kirby trains. Luis Saez gets the mount. The horse's most recent race off the bench came at Belmont on the 15th of June. 7 furlongs in the Widener and maiden claiming 40,000. The horse finished 7 by 8 1/4 lengths that day. From wide trip, he broke somewhat on top and then just lacked anything. You know, very tough turf event. Stepping down to a maiden 30 on dirt where this horse has proven she could run somewhat decent races on dirt. I'm going to give her a shot to win. Give her a break also. It was her first start since the 19th of November. That came at Aqueduct. 3/4 and a maiden 40,000 for Sabreds. Finished second by a nose that day, and she stalked a quick pace. She just missed late. She was closing up at, behind Maggie T that day. So Maggie couldn't catch Maggie T, but this horse ran her hard out that day with the 52 buyer with Javier Castellano up. A definite improvement off the race before, which came in the Parks on the slop in a main special weight where the horse finished 9th by 25 1/4 lengths that day. The horse, just kind of stalked that day, the quick pace, and I don't think the horse liked the surface and with the kickback. It wasn't his day to win. And then maiden 40 at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs, stepping down in class from the race 10 days prior. She finished 3rd by 6 3/4 lengths. She didn't break so well, probably cost her. She got quarter horse to the front end after that, and she just was behind the A ball. She is training well at Parks, coming here locally with some speed. She could definitely win. The 10 horse could definitely win also. Strange Fruit for Jose Ortiz and Pat Reynolds. Most recently, the maiden 30 on the 1st of June at Belmont over the 7/8. The horse finished second by 7.5 lengths. The winner was much the best, but this horse, had a decent place to that one. Prior to that, going mile 16th on the inner in a main 40 at Belmont opening weekend, the horse didn't run a lot. Finished 7 by 12 1/4 lengths. First time routing, just not a turf horse. Maybe a turf horse, but just not a router to be quite honest with you. And then on the slop in a maiden 40 at Aqueduct, the horse finished 4th by 21 lengths that day. And again, I just don't think the horse really liked the surface there. Ran a decent 3rd at Aqueduct in late March of maiden 40, and then the debut in January at Aqueduct. Could definitely win against these horses. Coming here with Jose Ortiz up, I'll give him a shot. He is improving with every single race. And also the 8 horse, She's a 9 for Rabbit Trassa and Kendrick Caramouche. Kendrick Caramouche is having a very under the radar so far first 3 days of the meeting, so watch out for him. But this horse most recently made special weight in May at Aqueduct Belmont over the 7. He finished 7 by 31 lengths that day and was with him early on, but then completely hit the wall. Since then, the horse is training well since the last run, and he's getting blinkers on, so maybe this horse can concentrate on the run. Prior to that, in a tough main special weight at Aqueduct on the slop going 6, he finished 6 by 19 3/4 lengths. He didn't break so well at the gate. He got quarter horse out of there to get good position early on, but then just completely crumbled. I'm hoping with the blinkers today, this horse could really concentrate on the runs. At 5-1, I'll give this horse a shot. She does look like she has some speed to go all the way here. But to recount my selection for the week 1 nightcap from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 4 horse Maggie as a top selection. Give kudos to the 10 horse Strange Fruit and the 8 horse She's a 9. 410-8-1 Super. 410-8 in your multi-race. With that being said, it's a wrap for week 1 here at Saratoga. Join me next week where we have the feature race of the week. Next week is the the coaching club next Saturday here at the spa. Friday's card, which they're gonna draw tonight, or well, for me it's tomorrow because it's Saturday night right now, but Sunday they draw Friday's card, which you have the Lake George and the Curlin. Always 2 good races. Can't wait for that. And you have some exciting opportunities Wednesday with that jumps race and some of those mile races on the main track. So I'm looking forward to looking at Wednesday card. Join me for that, and join me for more action here on YouTube. And follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Good luck, everybody.